Town meeting began in Bridgewater on November 3, 1656, but on November 8, 2010, residents observed just how an assembly in 1656 would start.
At the Bridgewater Regional High School, 7th Street, Bridgewater, on Monday, November 8th.
The government tradition would carry on for 354 years, with some modifications, of course. During a presentation by town historian David Moore, residents were informed that the area's first male settlers would meet in an unheated stockade.
For the first 200 years, women were not allowed to participate or vote in the town meeting. So it wasn't until the late 1800s when women got the right to vote. But as you can see, no heat, hard benches to sit on. And some of the highlights of the first meeting, the moderator or the clerk, Mr. Carey, set fines or penalties for anybody who didn't show up, because there were only 60 families in Bridgewater. All 60 men were expected to be there. They were expected to be on time, and they were expected to stay through the whole meeting. And if they left or they didn't show up, they were fined.
And back then, there were no cars, just 2 feet and a horse if you were lucky. In 1822, Bridgewater broke from Brockton, East and West Bridgewater. Town meeting was then held where the Universalist Church resides today. Throughout the years, meeting locations varied from the Senior Center to the now Bridgewater State University and the new BR High School. These historical tidbits and acts of patriotism were scattered between 15 articles on the final formal town meeting warrant. All articles were passed by voting members of the community as young children and students witnessed the momentous occasion. Articles included monetary transfers to replace a water heater at the Williams School, modifications to the regional school agreement to reflect the change in government, and funding for continued work on the Academy building. Of course, it wouldn't be a town meeting without some debate, and one of the major articles of the night included the transfer of monies for the removal of diseased trees. Proponents of the article said the safety of Bridgewater's residents was in jeopardy.
It's a threat to my property, it's a threat to my neighbor's property, and it's a threat to anybody walking down the street or driving down South Street, because it's a very diseased tree.
The town of Bridgewater has ignored its responsibility and obligation for these diseased trees for too long. We must start the process of taking them down or risk the liability if we don't.
Opponents of the articles argued that it was not appropriate to spend the funds.
We've identified several accounts that I feel have not been funded at the proper levels, and I think when we're going to be dealing with those later on in the year, I think this $10,000, we said, well, maybe we shouldn't have spent that $10,000 yet.
While the article did pass, monies are still a concern during these economic times. Selectman and Town Council-elect Mike Demos boycotted the meeting in protest of a recent hire of firefighters and police officers without selectman input. Tensions aside, this final town meeting was a festive occasion celebrating the past and looking towards the future. Drafters of the charter were recognized for seeing the change in town government through, selectmen received plaques for exceptional leadership, and the Town Council-elect accepted town flags.
As we move through 354 years of history, we're going to pass the gavel to these people that are coming up, and I think they deserve a well-appreciated hand because they've got a lot of work to do to follow this show.
Senator Mark Pacheco was also in attendance, bringing along an official citation to mark the moment in history.
Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to the Honorable Board of Selectmen, to the townspeople of Bridgewater, Massachusetts, in recognition of your final town meeting as you celebrate 354 years of history, and be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes and continued success. This citation be signed by the President of the Senate. It's attested to by the Clerk of the Senate, and it's my honor to be here as your state senator to present it to your moderator tonight at the final town meeting. And let me just say, as I present it, and it's great to see so many citizens here to celebrate not only passage of some of the articles and the work that goes on at town meeting, but also to be here to begin a new part of the town's history. And no matter what form of government we have, in a democracy. The most important thing is the responsibility that each of us has as citizens to make sure that we continue to challenge that form of government, whatever it is, challenge the elected leaders, whoever they are, to make this and continue to make this a more perfect union.
There was an ironic twist to the end of this final town meeting. Town Manager Troy Clarkson asked for a continuance on November 29th to address Article 5.
This article will transfer a sum of money into the stabilization fund from this year's tax levy, and the town accountant, the treasurer collector, the assessor, and I, as the finance team, are still finalizing the fiscal year 2010 numbers. As you know, the Department of Revenue has paid particular attention and given close scrutiny to the town of Bridgewater's finances over the last couple of years. So we're working closely with them and would prefer to have the DOR's review of our final numbers before we recommend a specific amount to be transferred to stabilization. But I would like to take this opportunity to underscore what a significant step forward it is for this community financially to be able to be before you and contemplate just such a transfer. And it is due to the leadership of the elected body to my right, your Board of Selectmen, who have maintained a fiscally conservative approach, and that is precisely why we're able to recommend that to you.
It had looked that residents would be meeting one more time, but a motion by Bruce Langland was passed, amending the article and letting the Board of Selectmen make the transfer by November 29th. Then it really was the end of an era as the Honor Guard removed the flags and Selectman Kravitz made a motion to adjourn. Afterwards, residents were slow to leave, enjoying each other's company and a cake baked by students from Bristol Plymouth Vocational School.
To the residents of this great town, it's been a distinct privilege and an honor since my first official town meeting as your elected town clerk on January 31st in 1977. Since that time, up until 8th day of November 2010, I have endured and enjoyed the town meetings over the past 33 years. Having experienced the robust and the fury of the debate of the 70s and the 80s, to the long-winded meetings of the 90s to 2010. What we hope and pray for in our new form of government, that together in a world of ambiguity and equivocation, as we tend to describe people's attitudes on issues of the day in terms of physical position. We say that the person is a fence viewer, not committing to the other side, or that the person is on his hands, meaning he applauds neither side. Or this person is sitting in out, or lying down. I hope, however, as a resident taxpayer and public official, that our charter form of government under the leadership of Town Manager Troy Clarkson will continue to stand up in plain view with what I hope will be clear, forthright, and a statement of position. And that together with the newly elected representatives of the council, who have such a charge before them and such an arduous charge, that they join hands and that the town of Bridgewater will know exactly where their representatives stand. There is a strong conviction amongst us as a peace-loving people that differences in a democratic society are easily resolved if the various sides are willing to meet halfway, as the saying goes. I hope for the future of Bridgewater that we set our goals in the best interest of all, that our new government offers premises rather than promises, and with firm beliefs rather than expediency, and finally, I hope for clarity rather than fuzziness. I thank you for the years of allowing me such a privilege to serve, and God bless Bridgewater, the town we all love so dear.
When we return, the three Bridgewaters join together again, honoring those that sacrifice their lives every day for this country.